Good afternoon, everyone. I am LG Pligao, and I will tackle about the Waray Literature. Classical story of Waray Literature. We all know that word literature is sometimes used to refer to the sum total of the world's national literature, but usually it refers to the circulation of works into the wider world, their country of origin. So, Waray literature dances mime the joys and activities of an ancient Waray. With 3 centuries of Spanish colonization and another period of American occupation, all Dritwar's poetic forms and narrative had undergone reinvention. A case in point is the Balak, a poetic love just between a man and a woman. So, I will share to you one of the classical story of the Waray literature, which is the Typhoon Yolanda, that causes of many persons died and missing. Typhoon Haiyan, known as Super Typhoon Yolanda, in the Philippines, was one of the strongest tropical cyclones ever recorded. On making landfall, Haiyan devastated portions of southern Asia, particularly the Philippines. When Super Typhoon Haiyan struck in 2013, it was the disaster-prone Philippines' worst storm on record with 7,350 people dead or missing, with gusts exceeding 305 kilometers 305 kilometers, 190 miles per hour at first. Landfall Haiyan was the strongest ever to hit land at the time. Typhoons more commonly reach peak velocity while still traveling our oceans. The powerful front drove a giant wall of seawater, called the storm surge, estimated to be 7.5 meters to 24.6 feet high into coastal town like Tacloban, across a group of islands with a combined area the size of Portugal. The Philippines is the first major landmass on the Pacific Ocean typhoon belt. A wall of mountains on the coast of the main island of Luzon dampens some of the blows, but the smaller, flatter islands such as Tree that by in Haiyan Path are more exposed. Much of Tacloban sits less than 5 meters above sea level. The town and others nearby were defenseless against the storm surge that funneled through a shallow bay sandwiched between Leyte and Samar Islands. Even though the hardest hit areas received early warnings, the Weather Service and the officials later admitted that the victims were unfamiliar with the term storm surge. The last deadly storm surge in Tacloban had hit in 1887. More than a century before, Haiyan, in a country with scores of regional languages, the government also did not have local terms to be able to communicate the phenomenon to everyone. After the disaster, the government agency worked with language to craft simpler meteorological terms to ensure the danger posed by typhoons, floods, landslides, and other adverse events would be fully understood by all. In a nation where 1 in 5 people earn less than $2 a day, the people in Haiyan Spot stood out for the deep poverty. In Haiyan, Pat stood out for the deep poverty. Many of the victims built their homes on the island's narrow coastal plains and lived off subsistent fishing and farming. Haiyan destroyed or damaged 1.14 million houses, many of them of cheap, made of cheap, flimsy materials that stood no chance against nature-wide. The national government, through a geohazard mapping program began in 2006, had flagged most of the areas that were prone to the impacts of natural disaster. However, However, local governments failed to evacuate many of the vulnerable population away from danger zones, partly because they did not fully appreciate the threat and partly because they had not built enough shelters. In the town of Hernani on Summer Island, where Haiyan made the first of many landfalls, several families were wiped out by a storm surge when they left their flimsy shacks to ride out the storm at a low-lying school built along the coast, neighbors told AFP. The most memorable experience of the people in Tacloban, which is the Waray story about.